Upper 90s. We're already like 98. And it's like, but that's okay as long as the air conditioning works. Life's really tough here in the West. It's you have air conditioning. It's horrible. I don't understand people who don't like air conditioning. I still know people who say, "Who wants air conditioning?" I say, "Right on, man. If you can
Oh
sweat
yeah,
like that, oh, if you can sweat like that, I go right on. What are you going to do?" So what else is that? So here we go. What else is happening? I don't know what else is happening. Maybe we'll have an idea. Let's talk about what we all know happened last night. A week ago when we did our live stream, and I assume it's hello Spartacus, we love you. I don't know who it is, but we love you. The and whoever else is there already early. Last week we talked about the issue of will the president hit Iran and take out their or try to take out their nuclear reactors in the three areas. Natanz, well, really it was Fordo, but then Natanz and what's the other one? It'll come to me. So we're in this situation where we kind of debated. My feeling was we were kind of in a corner and had to make the move and just couldn't see a way out of it, because if we didn't, then Iran would have known they could control whatever they wanted to control down the road, because any threats wouldn't work. Your feeling was, why don't we keep negotiating, try to make a deal, let's see what we do. Well,
yeah.
our debate was taken out of our hands, and the president made a decision, and the president decided to run with it. Okay, he hit the three places last night. He made the move. Everybody's proud. They think everything's great, and everything's always great after something like this happens immediately, right? And the question's going to be, what happens after it all kind of sinks in? The Iranians have been taking a hard line. Their foreign minister went to Russia, took a hard line, and I'll tell you, I do love the Russians, Joe. I do love the Russians because they are so straight about how they feel. The first thing they did was they put out a big PR thing saying you shouldn't use bombs on a sovereign nation. Remembering that they don't consider Ukraine a sovereign nation. So they're just saying Iran's a sovereign nation, but Ukraine isn't a sovereign nation. They're staying consistent with their position. They're just running with it. It's so great. They're just running with it. And you sit there, you go, yeah, I can kind of see them doing that. At least they're not laying any BS out there. So you have that going on. But at the same time, you have a government that just doesn't want to give up and just wants to keep fighting. I don't think they have much nuclear stuff left, like I know, but I know nothing. But you have to assume they don't have that much left. All the intel's been great that the Israelis have gotten. I'm sure that we have gotten to know what's going on there and what's happening. And you could always sneak some stuff out. Nuclear technology isn't that outrageous to know. It's only like 80 years old, so it's not like people go, "Wow, nuclear technology, nuclear scientists." Okay, it's still 80 years old. It's old stuff. You can figure it out now to build it if you have all the right stuff. I just think they took out so many of the centrifuges and the machinery. It's just going to be so tough for Iran to be able to move forward with any real nuclear action or make anything, even a crude nuclear bomb, or not bomb, whatever, crude nuclear blast somewhere at some time. I don't know unless it's already planned. But from there, we now have to see, where are we going and what's happening. We're demanding surrender. They're saying there's no way we're going to surrender. We're dealing with what I would kind of call a death cult. When we had Hitler was smart. Hitler took his life in the bunker, and then Germany surrendered, and things moved forward from there, which is kind of what Joe wants to happen here. He doesn't want anybody to die per se, but he talked about the Marshall Plan, which was a great thing, which is a great thing that we did. Joe and I are on the same page there. It helped build the American century, and he was hoping for something like that. Well, Iran's got so much oil, they can pretty much do what they want. But if they don't want to stop fighting, at least the government, how do you move forward with them? And what do you do, Joe? Before we talk about the economy and all this other stuff, what do you think? Where do you kind of see this going right now? Not where you want it to go. Where do you think it's going?
Well, again, we don't know where it's going to go, but history, and you're the history buff, gives us certain clues. Whenever we've tried this sort of thing in the past, usually has not turned out well. Whenever we tried to do nation building, whenever we tried to punish someone into submission, what we did was we just created the seeds for the next cycle of violence. And so that was my concern last week, and that's still my concern is how are people going to respond to this? How our country's going to respond to this? And if someone bombs your country, it creates a lot of nationalism in that country, and you're creating the seeds for the next generation of violence. And they may not use nuclear bombs right now. Maybe that project gets delayed for a while, but Iran's pretty good about doing terrorist activities, and are we going to pay the cost of that? And then how will we respond to that? So I understand Trump's idea is he wants to do a surgical strike, get Iran to surrender, then move forward, and then have peace. Usually it doesn't work out that way. Usually you create, the other country becomes so angry, upset, unified that they don't surrender, and we're left with a smoldering war. And unless you have the ground troops to go in and take over the country, occupy the country, you're just going to have lobbing bombs back and forth indefinitely. And Israel's not going to send in a land troops to occupy the country. And I wonder if we weren't played a little bit, and the consequence is going to be that there'll be retaliations against U.S. bases, and then we'll retaliate by going in there with trying to occupy the country and then be stuck in another endless war. That's my concern. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but
I didn't ask you about your I didn't ask you about your concern. I asked you about what you thought was going to happen. You're just chickening out. Now, this is a guy who's never afraid to just say, this is what I think. So you know what I think it is? I think he's not sure. And I'll tell you, for good reason, because he said it. How can you be sure what's going to happen next?
Yeah,
you can't. Right. You can't. How can you know? None of us can know. But let me tell you where I think it may be going, Joe. And I'll be 100% wrong. I mean, it can happen. Look, in Bosnia it worked. Okay, when we did the bombings and stopped the ethnic cleansing there. We're not looking to take over a country. It was what one would call a surgical strike. I don't think any strike is surgical per se. Hey, Nilda. Hey, Mobius. I don't think it's anything like that. But at the same time, you have a country that seems to exist to want to destroy others. I mean, look what happened. They put up there, let's look at Iran. They had these, all these allies they had, right? Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, Syria. Well, did Iran come to their aid? I mean, they helped them in the background, but they didn't. So Iran just kind of had their defenses taken down because they just wanted to talk a lot and didn't mind that others were going to die because they figured, are they any different that way than a lot of these other, I mean, most people aren't that way, but a lot of these other extremists are that are in government and run their governments? I don't consider that a majority. I'm no expert, but I would think most people would want to live. I hope. I don't care what your religion is. So the question's going to be, are they going to now put their secret police, the IRGC, against the people in Iran and try to take total control there so they can make sure that the Ayatollah doesn't get taken out? You have to assume that's the first thing they're going to do. They've turned off the internet. They say there's a little bit of internet going on. There's a little bit of VPNs, virtual private networks and stuff. Musk says his Starlink's up. But most people are still having trouble. So most people don't even know what's going on. They just know they're hearing that, they see these pictures of big smoke bellowing everywhere. But nobody's really been attacked, not by the United States. So you have to hope. You have to hope that the Iranians are at least going to say, okay, let's stop it here. I'm thinking they're not. I'm assuming they're going to mine the Strait of Hormuz. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have issues. That'll lead us into the problem with the economy, which is what my concern is also big time, and your concern. But if you know the Strait of Hormuz, Joe, it's kind of goes like this. We had our minesweepers, my understanding, all on one side of the strait before all this happened. So I'm assuming, I'm no expert, I'm assuming what they did prior to this, they were moving everybody around, was they probably moved the minesweepers some to the other side so they can't get stuck in one side of the Strait of Hormuz. I'm assuming that, okay? So assuming that, what are you going to do? They say as of this morning, The shippers are still putting their ships through, and they haven't been stopped. So if they don't do it, we're fine. But I have to believe they're going to try to do something. I have to
Sure.
believe we're going to suddenly see some minds show up there or something like that. You're going to have extremists. It's awfully quiet. At the same time, I don't think that Iran is in a position to really tell people what to do anymore, tell their allies what to do anymore. I think their communications are shut down. They can't take a chance of reaching out to Hezbollah or anybody because you have to assume their lines of communication are totally compromised. So, they'll know where the Israelis and the Americans will know what's going on and where they are. So they have to stay quiet. You have an 86-year-old guy totally out of it. He's got to be out of it in some bunker somewhere. 86, look at him. I mean, I don't care. I know people are 86, but what are you going to do? You've been on top of the world, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a bunker and you have nobody you trust around you. What do you do at 86 years old? You're not young where you can think and make moves and do things. It's really a different ball game now. So they shook it up. So I don't see how the Iranians can really set up a big counter type of strike. I don't mean a strike, but some extremist attacks from Iraq. You know what I'm saying? Places from like that, or the Houthis. I just don't see how they can do it. They sent some missiles over today, but they're not. The Israelis aren't going to stop smashing their missiles. So if they don't want to stop, who are we dealing with? And remember, I don't think it's the people, Joe. And I agree it's nationalism. They keep hoping it's nationalism. It's going to keep them together. But if they can't, if the government can't show that they're stable and they're strong and can deliver on electricity and food and water and all that, it's going to, I don't care how tough they are on the ground, it's going to make it really tough for them to maintain control. And I could see things starting to happen there, which may not even be good if the wrong people get involved. So I just think it's been so shaken up, we have to assume there's going to be inflation. This is where we've been talking about this for a while, Joe, about to come to you, but I think I'm asking for a head-on prediction. There's no way inflation doesn't come on with this, Joe. It just has to. Oil's got to go up the risk premium, no matter, unless there's a written, signed deal, okay? There's going to be major risk premium. Well, that's going to ripple everywhere. And you're still going to have, the Saudis will probably put out more oil, and we're going to try to ramp up, though we've cut back, I believe, 10% from last year. That's going to take a while to ramp up, so that would definitely be raised. I see it in the gas. I don't know if you're seeing it in the gas where you live. It's going up already like 20 cents a gallon or something. Yeah. So you have that. So that's guaranteed. That's guaranteed inflation. And I just think we're starting to talk about what we talked about before, stagflation. We don't know where it was going to come from. We've just been talking about it for 6-8 months. It's happening, Joe. That's what I think. That's my prediction. I think the real attack for us is the economy and what it's going to do and juice the economy. I think it's really going to hurt the economy. What do you think? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a very reasonable assumption that the price of oil is going to go up. It probably has already gone up. Price of gas is going to go up. That's going to help fuel inflation. And there's already the seeds of inflation anyway with the tariff situation. So that's only going to pour more gasoline on that fire. So again, I like to look at the data. Right now, the data suggests inflation is not horribly out of control, but there are warning signs. It's very likely, from my perspective, that inflation is going to increase. And are people going to be happy with that? I mean, Trump was elected because he believed that a strong leader should be able to negotiate their way out of wars. And he failed that. He failed that test. He wasn't able to negotiate his way out of the war. And, there's going to be consequences. Hopefully they're not horrible consequences, but again, history suggests that, we're going to be stuck in a bad situation for a while, and it's going to help fuel inflation. And there's a variety of other consequences that I think that we need to talk about. He's taken a risk, and last week I thought he would not take this risk, but I think when he said that he was going to take 2 weeks to think about it, I wonder if, the reaction to that was, here we go, the taco president, he always backs down. And maybe somebody got under his skin and said, you want to be known as the brand of as the taco president. He just said, Screw it, let me go in there and bomb them.
No.
And I just don't think it was well thought out.
Look. You may not agree with him for doing it, okay? But it was definitely well planned. I mean, they moved all the ships in there for weeks. They got people out. They got Americans out. They have all the troops in hardened positions and prepared. There could be issues. They didn't lose anybody. There weren't even any aircraft shots against them. So they was a well prepared.
Oh,
well, so I'm just saying.
Militarily, they did a fantastic.
They did and let me tell you this too. Of course, they had to make a dig into Biden, Hegseth, during his press conference this morning about how Biden this. There's a couple things they forget. When the Iranians attacked the Saudi oil fields in 2019, when Donald Trump was president, Trump did nothing. The other thing, which is very interesting, the other thing is our military didn't suddenly become great in 5 or 6 months of Donald Trump being the president. For these years, it's been getting better and being prepared, and these pilots have been training for how many years, and we've been having this incredible technology. This goes to the benefit, and should say great things about Biden, and even Obama let it go, and he wasn't a great foreign policy guy, but and Clinton and Bush, all of them. For foreign policy, we made sure our military is ready, okay, especially after 9/11. We have made sure our military is ready. So why Trump sees the need? I just don't like him. But I really think he did a great job here in what he did. The question is he going to do a great job as it moves forward? That's what we're talking about today, and that's my concern. And I don't know, but you couldn't sit back because the Iranians had all this nuclear stuff. There was no question that they could do a crude type of bomb and try to sneak it out. And that's what the people who were really into it were saying. We're not talking 3 years out with a nuclear warhead. We were talking about a crude bomb. These guys don't care. People were willing to give up their lives for this kind of stuff. That's why they're still there. And by the way, I saw a couple people here I wanted to throw in, Joe, and just throw it into them. There was, who was this? Simpson, who was Yanks talk absolute bollocks. Well, we don't use the word bollocks here, Shelley, but I know what you're saying, okay? We love the Brits. Hey. What would we have done without you? We wouldn't have a real language. You guys don't have a real language. We have a real language. Bollocks. What are you talking about? What? Instead of what, they say what? What? Like W-O-T? Okay, so the Yanks talk what? We love you, Shelley. I'm not giving you trouble. We love Britain, right? Right, Joe? Okay.
We do love Britain.
America's $40 trillion in debt. It sure is. I don't know how many it is, Stinson, but if it ain't there, it's getting there. Really a problem. Mobius, I love our country. Dr. V loves it. What's Dr. V's channel? Dr. V, what's your channel?
This Dr. V Joe Talks.
There you got it, Bella. Go for it. He needs a subscriber. Give him subscribers. Thank God Harris lost. Ozzy, I don't know. Mobius, Ozzy, yes. Spartacus knows we love him. Shame on you, Yanks. Shelley, what are we shaming on? What was done incorrectly? This guy has nuclear. He had nuclear energy. I'm sorry, energy. What am I saying? He had nuclear stuff that he could make into a crude nuclear blast. These are people who said that they lived to kill others, that their existence was to get rid of others. They hate America. I'm not talking about Israel. They hate America.
Mark.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What? You're the history buff.
Go ahead.
I think we have to put all this in some context.
Go ahead.
Why does Iran hate us so much?
What happened is during, the 50s, I believe, the CIA and I think another country had a big hand in getting rid of whoever the president was of Iran. And
we had a big hand. We assassinated the guy.
No. Listen, I think it was us and somebody else, and we had the major hand in it. But we put in the Shah Reza Pahlavi, okay? His son now thinks he's going to fly out of America and become the new head of Iran. I mean, talk about lunacy there. Keep this guy somewhere wherever he is. So that happened.
Back a little bit further, before World War II.
Listen. You know, look, I can go back thousands of years when it was Persia. I'm sorry, you take it from where it is, because what happened with us? Because what happened was we put Pahlavi in. Jimmy Carter didn't back him. They had real problems in the streets, and you had Ayatollah Khomeini, who was living in France and was doing his Islamic revolution thing. And the people of Iran didn't like having a king imposed on them, who people didn't think they were doing well, and they overthrew Pahlavi, the Shah, and brought in the Ayatollah Khomeini. That's what happened. After that happened, they took over our embassy. After, just so you'll know, Joe, Pahlavi had a cancer, and no country would take him. Mm-hmm. And Jimmy Carter, look, the man has a heart of gold. This wasn't a political thing. All of his guys were saying, don't let the Shah in. They were all telling him, don't let the Shah in. I read this, or a lot of them were. But he said, how can I let a guy with cancer not come in? So then when it happened, the embassy got taken over. At that point, what was it, for like up to 2 years, we had our diplomats who were kidnapped, essentially kidnapped prisoners. And from there, it's been death to America. And it hasn't ended. And we didn't do anything. They didn't let him out until Reagan won the election, because Reagan said he was going to bomb them if they didn't let him out. So they figured, they waited till the end with Carter. Reagan was great. He let Carter meet them, when they got let out. And then, Ray, you're asking me for the history. I love American history. So then that happened, So you got that going on. So now, from there, I think countries, and we've tried to make deals with Iran, but Iran just hates us. They stomp on the American flag. I don't mind if Americans do it, but they do. And it's death to America. Look, they've been pumping out, doing everything they can to take Western values and flush them. I'm sorry. Here we are. We're going to disagree. Go ahead.
Why such vehement hate? That's the question.
From whom?
From Iran.
Because they don't have Western values. When you have a country, not a country, not the Egyptian.
Before World War II, they had a lot of oil, right?
They still do.
And they still do.
Yeah.
So what happened? Our friends in England went over there and set up a petroleum company to ship out the oil to make gas.
Shelley, watch out. Joe's coming after you.
England made like 80% of the profits, and Iran got to keep 20%.
Okay. What do you want me to do?
How do you think Iranians felt about that? That pissed them off. They were getting ripped off by England. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so their Western values started out with, here are these Western countries that are just into ripping off other countries. That's their values. And then we come in there, what are our values? We go in there and assassinate their leaders so that we can have a better deal with the oil. Because Iran was getting friendly with Russia, we were worried about that. So we wanted to install our leaders in the country. And that pissed off Iran. And so what's their experience with Western countries? They rape us for our natural raw materials, and then their democracy is that they assassinate leaders that they don't like and install their leaders. So we bring in the Shah, and what happens to the country? The Shah is friendly to the United States, but he's not taking care of his people. And so there was a populist revolt in Iran that brought in this theocracy, but it was a reaction to some of the things that we created ourselves.
Who's arguing about that? Everybody knows that.
So you have to understand the context. There's a reason why they hate us so much, because they don't see us as the beacon of democracy. They don't see us as concerned about the Iranian people. They see us as just trying to take advantage of the raw materials that they have.
Well, how about if I take another one? Let's look at Saudi Arabia, okay? You ever heard of Aramco? American oil companies, Standard Oil and everything, had total control of the Saudi oil. Saudi's got a lot more oil than Iran, okay? They had control of it. Now, was there an overthrow there? No. It ended up that Saudi Arabia nationalized the oil, and ended up making deals with these oil companies to where we're now at a point where that didn't happen. In Saudi Arabia, though they may have used bone saws on a couple people, Saudi Arabia, they're moving forward. People are doing better. They don't have bombs. They don't have all these killings, and they're making lots of money. So, Joe, there are two roads to go down.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
wait, let me finish. And say, wait. I'm not, and then see, so wait. So what I'm saying to you is this victimology that Iran's taking because we did it to them. Saudi worked it out. Others are doing it. It's not a matter of saying we are a beacon of democracy. Iran doesn't believe in it. It's a dictatorship. They say, I don't live there, but that most of the people aren't happy. If you don't wear a shawl over your head, you get thrown into jail. People got killed. Women got handled. There's no women's rights. The elections are rigged, and there's no democracy. So that you can't compare. Saudi Arabia doesn't have a great democracy, but the people seem real happy, and they're doing real well because they worked out a deal with the West. And here we want to sit there and go, oh, I'm a victim. The West took advantage of me. Look, there have been a lot of chances to really make deals and work it. Obama's deal, I thought, was a bad deal on our end, but I thought we should have kept it because we gave him so much money. But it's, oh, I'm a victim, I don't trust. It's not a trust. It's a belief. It's a different belief system that the Iranian, let's say government, I'm not talking to people, that the Iranian government has. And it's a totally different belief system and a belief on where you go, what you do, whether you live or die, and how you're going to live and how it works. And I don't want to hear the victimization. BS. Their whole deal, everything Iran set up ended up having a destruction of all these people that worked with Iran. So that tells you Iran didn't have it right, okay? Really simple. It's got nothing, in my opinion, it's got nothing to do with God, Muhammad, or anything. They just didn't do it. They just kept mouthing. They kept setting up their allies, and look what happened. They got smashed because they kept doing it and they're not stopping. That's victimization. They don't care that everybody else got handled. They didn't care about Hezbollah. It ended. They didn't care about Syria. They were just bummed they couldn't use it to get more troops. More missiles and stuff in there. So I just can't feel sorry for Iran's government. I feel horrible for the people, and the people are going to have to do what they do. But you could get victim. Tell me you're a victim again. All I'm saying to everybody is, we love each other, and I want this to be an example, and I mean it, of how people who really like each other can disagree. Because Joe and I vehemently disagree on this. Yet if I saw this bum, I'd be hugging him. We'd be having a great time, and right, Joe, and we'd be jiving. And isn't that really what our whole issue?
A real discussion. It may not get us a lot of views. I don't know, but it's complicated. That the point is, dealing with the Middle East, dealing with life in general, is complicated. And where I'm coming from is it's important to understand the other side if you want to really get along with people, if you want to negotiate with people. And if you just look at your own side, you're going to feel like you're the one who's getting taken advantage of all the time, and you're never going to reach a good solution. I believe, with Iran, with your in-laws or whoever, that the best way to reach some sort of solution to solve problems is by understanding the other person's side. And I think in this country, we tend to vilify Iran, that they're different than us. They're other. Yeah, and I hate that kind of attitude, that the immigrants are other. People who have different color skin are other. The Iranians are other. They're human beings. And they feel, with some justification, that they have gotten the raw end of the stick from the Western countries. And they're really upset about it. And so the general population is blaming Western countries, and so they've taken an attitude that they don't want to be dominated by Western society. And we tried to put our culture in there when they weren't ready to accept that. And so you see this whole big backlash of a theocracy in there. I believe that the Iranian people, and I know some Iranian people, they have the same goals, the same love of family, same love of life that we do. but we're not offering them an alternative to get that better quality life. And by bombing their nuclear facilities, I'm not sure we're showing the kind of welcomeness to enjoy a healthy, good lifestyle that I think we really believe in, that we want to portray. We're not showing them the right attitude. If you raise children, you can't get them to clean their room just by beating them up, by punishing them for not cleaning the room. You give them a little bit of carrot too. If you clean your room, you get your allowance. You have to show them that if you do the right thing, if you work together, it's going to be beneficial. Not, if you don't do it, you show me attitude, I'm going to continue to punish you. And that's, I think, our attitude toward Iran. Now, it's interesting because I think we don't show that attitude with other Middle Eastern countries right now. And you might say, well, they showed an attitude that they're willing to work with us, and so we're willing to work back. But we're in a powerful position. You don't wait for your 5-year-old child to say, your dad, I love you, and then you start negotiating with them. When they start saying, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, you give them love back. And if the bigger country, the bigger person, the person who has more authority, who has more resources, that's the person who's in a position to reach out more. Not to expect the other side to come over in a loving way. You reach out in a loving way first. And we're not doing that with Iran. We're doing that with some of the other countries, and it's having beneficial effects.
Reach out and touch
I know.
somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. I think the whole point of this is, and to me, it's bigger than everything Joe just said then. I think Joe feels the same way. Is we just think it's important that whether you agree with people or not, in this country, if they don't agree with you, you get mad at the other person, or you want to, some people commit violence against them, and you have all this going on. And what we're trying to show you is it doesn't matter if you disagree. It doesn't matter. If you talk with one another, you can be friends, you can understand where you're going, and it makes everybody happier and start to come together a little bit. That's how you start to do it. That's how I look at it. And I'm not worried about us reaching out to Iran or anybody else. I'm worried about us reaching out to us. That to me is the biggest issue we have to deal with right now. And I'm just an American citizen. Joe's just an American citizen, even though he is Dr. V. That's how we look at this, though. And that's the whole idea. And what we really appreciate is people staying on, throwing comments at us, letting us know how you feel, because I hate the word safe space. You kidding? Ain't nothing safe here. You should see some of the stuff. They start attacking me as Mike Lindell. I never know what I'm going to do. So and Joe just laughs through that one. So we always wait for that. So this is what's so great about this. So remember, when you see this going on, and you see people, you see this guy in Memphis try to kidnap the Memphis mayor because he's going to prove something, and you got this other guy shooting people in Minnesota, and they're killing Americans. Americans, it's just got to end. We have to look at one another and say, yeah, we can go at it with each other. Yeah, I can sing horribly on our live stream. Though I keep telling you, I'm better than he is with that Eagles rock or Eagles whatever he did when they won the Super Bowl. But that's where we are with this. I'm going to be kind of like, but that's where it is. So let's now get to a little bit more fun, and we can come back later on that. But it's time for the albums of the week. But before I start the albums of the week, no, I'm not going to say it, Joe. Not yet, at least. Before I say the albums of the week, I have to remind everyone, Devo. We are devolution. We are going back. We are snails with little tails. Now we've been
our biggest Devo of the week.
biggest
example of Devo for the week
is war, and that's you know what I'm saying. We have been devolving. We went from there have been problems in the world and everything, but we as Americans, our country has gone from just kind of generally a pretty good economy, rocking and doing everything, to now let's we're fighting one another, and it's just going backwards and like going back. Now we're fighting everybody else. We're killing each other. It's like going backwards in time when America wasn't, before America really became great. But that's okay. We'll be back because are we not men? We're men. We are Devo. Are we not men? D-E-V-O. But after you de-evolve, you come back. But we're devolving, but I'm not going to devolve here. We're going to have a little music. You see, whoops, sorry, I want to take that face off of there. Music soothes the soul. I always say it's so real. You can sit back, you can get bummed, you go, and you turn it on. We're going to do a little Stones today, Joe. One of my favorite Stones album is Between the Buttons. Now, for those of you who don't know this album, Joe and I know it because we have gone around the sun so many times. This is when Brian Jones was really at his apex, their guitarist and sitarist, and he played every instrument, but he was so drugged out, he was totally out of it. He had, at least we learned since then, totally out of it. But this album started taking the Stones into psychedelia, okay? Back then, but there was some great music on here. You got Let's Spend the Night Together. You remember the story about that? They were on Ed Sullivan. Ed's national, first time on national. Ed Sullivan says, you can't say, let's spend the night together. I mean, get into it. This is fun stuff. And you have to say, let's spend some time together. So Mick goes on there, and if you watch him, when he goes, let's spend the night together, he rolls his eyes, okay? Oh, let's spend the night together. When they did something with Jim Morrison with Light My Fire or whatever, he didn't care. He did what he wanted to do. But Jagger just rolled his eyes and said, let's spend some time together. Great song. Yesterday's Papers, Ruby Tuesday, Goodbye. Their first soft single. Just really, the Stones starting to wake up. What was this, like 1968? No, 67 it is. Before Monterey. This is when it's rocking. Before Satanic Majesty's Request. She Smiles Softly. She's Who's Been Sleeping in Your Butt. I want to take you from there. Because Brian led it into Monterey, had a big hand in Monterey. Okay, of course, there are the rest of the boys. Had a big hand in Monterey. He was the man bringing in psychedelia. You all talked about Monterey, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, The Who, Otis, all that. But the Stones, when Brian Jones died, because he was just out, I think he died in a pool somewhere, totally out of it. Suddenly this live album comes out a couple years later. Get Your Yas Yas Out. Joe, was this played in every room at the house?
Absolutely.
Mick Taylor comes in. He's the lead guitarist. In my opinion, this is when the Stones, you just couldn't approach him, okay? This Jumpin' Jack Flash, Love in Vain, Midnight Rambler. Well, you heard about the Midnight Rambler, right? You go right into it. Sympathy for the Devil, Honky Tonk Women, Street Fighting Man. And this band is rocking on Get Your Ya-Ya's Out. And Mick Taylor's just blowing with that lead guitar. They were a rock band. This is when they were really a rock band. They were kind of bluesy, more Painted Black kind of rocked them out a bit, but they just rocked out with Mick Taylor. After that, they were pretty good, but never the same. Time That Waits for No One's my favorite song that Mick Taylor did with them. But the Stones, I know, I don't want to always use names. I try to stay away from groups that we all know, like groups like Pink Floyd, because we have an issue. Because remember, my problem is, rock, if you have an alarm clock on a so-called rock album, it ain't a rock album. It's a so-called rock album. Right, people are dropping because they all feel the same way about Pink Floyd. What?
Intellectual rock.
It's intellectual. They call that prog. It's progressive, the prog. Would you want to listen to music they call prog? I mean, there's so much good progressive music. But prog, I hear that, I go, what are you talking about? Yes, there's so much good music. Okay, back then, up to Close to the Edge. But I love that. We saw them at Dickinson. They came. Joe, we're getting old, Joe. So here we go. I want to do a couple things first. It looks like the Ravens are going for the Super Bowl. We signed Jair Alexander. Hopefully he's going to be okay, can make 6, 8, 10 games. This team is going for it. We're going for the Eagles. We're going for everybody. I just wanted to say that to get it out of my system. I'm not a fantasy football guy. Joe is the expert. In one part of his brain, he has 10 teams. In another part, he has 10 more teams. Me, I can only focus on one team.
I'm in the draft right now.
You're in the draft right now. This early, a month before training camp.
Yeah, it's rookie drafts going on right now.
Rookie drafts. Are you taking some of the Ravens? Did you get Malaki Starks?
No.
Why not?
I should get him?
He's defense. He's defense. You don't want defense, right? You only want offense.
Yeah.
Only offense. I'll have to think about that one for you. But rookies, what does that mean? This year? They have to be this first year rookie?
Yeah.
Or
UDF
or UFA? Okay. How about if they didn't start last year? Are they like on the taxi squad? Are they considered rookies this year?
They might be available. Who do you have in mind?
We'll talk about it offline.
Okay. Right.
I always give Joe a couple off the side there for him, and it pays off, doesn't it, Joe? I always give
him the king last year.
I told him to pick up the king, and he didn't go all the way. And let me tell you, anybody who doesn't get Lamar is crazy. Lamar says he's on a revenge tour. This team just looks like it's just going to look. I'm so excited. I'm sure, when this happens, they fall on their face. Isn't that how your team always is? You're ready. You think it's going to happen, and then boom. But I'm just ready. The whole town is just burning, and it's just they got so much talent on this team. I just love them. Okay, I'll leave it. Let's get back to where we are. Woo! Economy. The Fed the other day said that they see inflation coming. That was before this bombing at the nuclear sites. Okay. The Fed said they see inflation. That's why they're not cutting interest rates yet. Long-term interest rates at 30-year, I always tell you to watch out for. It's kind of still under where it broke out to 5, I think, but it's under. The dollar got a little bit stronger with all this fighting and everything going on, but the dollar just isn't cooking the way it used to. And it seems like crypto is where the action is, though the Bitcoin hasn't broken above 108 or 109. So you see all this I love watching all this stuff. So you see all this stuff going on, and I got to figure, Joe, we're like I agree, we're in a holding pattern, but I really think we've tilted over. I was saying May, June, I just think you're seeing it. Unemployment is a max unemployment, the Fed chair said. So if you're at max unemployment, where are you going to have more jobs? These companies are laying off people left and right on top of saying AI is going to lay them off. And you know what I don't understand? And let me get off on this. I believe in solar energy. I'm a massive believer in solar energy. Not because it's green, but because it's out there. Because without the sun, everybody wouldn't be alive. Without the sun, we wouldn't have trees. We wouldn't have grass. We wouldn't have flowers. We wouldn't have dogs. We wouldn't have people. We wouldn't have food. And to not harness the energy of the sun makes absolutely no sense. And why it takes an old guy like me to always believe it, I don't understand. So rather what they did was they've opened up a lot of the coal. Like in West Virginia in some areas. There have been articles I've been reading that a lot of the younger guys are getting black lung disease again. Black lung disease. Now think about it. We have an administration that's willing to let Americans dig coal. Remember they used to call it clean coal? How can coal be clean? Put you right next to a big piece of coal. Yeah, that's clean. And young Americans are getting black lung disease. There isn't that much health care out there, and it's Devo. We're going backwards. So why is the administration, I'm not talking tax credits or anything, why are you encouraging coal that leads to black lung disease? Dr. V doesn't do that, but he's a doctor. He knows. I've seen pictures of black lung disease. Why do you want Americans to die? We don't need that energy that badly when you got the sun, Dr. V. And the other problem is with all these tariffs we're putting on, I have had out there, Dr. V knows, on Just an American Citizen, please look at Just an American Citizen, years ago saying we need batteries. I was calling them ESUs to try to make them sound sexy. Energy storage units, ESUs. I got some guys writing me telling me I didn't know what I was talking about back then. I said we have to take the sun's energy and put it into batteries. We should take money and just do major technology, major research. And I was saying we should have had a skunk works, and we didn't do it. We should be doing that now with this bill basically batteries in America are getting cut back, okay? And battery manufacturing and solar manufacturing is getting cut back. Now, in the long term, it may be good for technology of solar, but how can you not? Joe, tell me, what am I missing? I'm old. How can you favor an energy source that gives people black lung disease over an energy source that gives life? Please explain it to me. Joe, you're great at explaining it. Explain it to me, please.
Basically, all energy comes from the sun. That's the bottom line. I mean, the reason you got coal is it's carbon, and what's carbon come from? Plants and growth, and it's from the sun. So we might as well go directly to the source than getting sort of processed energy, if you will. And we have the technology to do it. It's just a question of will. Are we willing to do it? I think even companies that make their profit by going after oil and making gasoline, they're beginning to understand that the future is going to be in solar energy and other energy sources. No, they're not doing that.
They were. That you're right. But the Trump administration, under this new big beautiful whatever bill, is essentially, you're seeing now that they are encouraging the big companies to go back to oil and gas. They're encouraging them to drill. They're trying to give them more federal lands to do it. They are encouraging coal. I'm not joking. They are encouraging coal. And at the same time, they are cutting out, and I'm not talking about, I don't like tax credits as a rule, okay? So I'm not talking about which tax credits are right or wrong. But they're cutting out all tax credits on solar so that people who could put them on their roof won't be able to afford it. It won't be this because they won't. I think in certain states they're not going to force energy companies to buy the solar energy from people. You know how that all works, and reduces prices and stuff. And they're just cutting all that out so that we're only going to have a American solar manufacturer that basically does corporate commercial stuff and is not going to be doing homes. So we are walking away through. This is intentional in Congress. We are walking away from the source, as you say, the original source of energy, which is up there, to go to, I like how you called it processed. Processed, like processed food. Very good, Joe. I really like that. Processed energy, to make it processed energy, and that's really what it is. And in the end, take that carbon and put it in big black things so that people inhale it and get black lung disease. It just doesn't make sense. You see, that's my problem with the Trump administration. I agree with what he did in Iran, though I don't know if he knows what he's going to do from there. Okay, that's my concern. I don't think he looks beyond, okay? They did what they did. I thought everything we were stuck, we had to do, we were at the end. Okay, it's done. We get into where we go from there. But then he does other stuff like this. And doesn't think it's stuff that's so easy. Black lung disease, it's so easy. Okay, so you're going to be doing this? I don't understand. Try to look at things and really care about some people. Say, I'm in my last 3.5 years. I'm making hundreds of millions of dollars. I can help others live better. What's wrong with that, Joe? Can't you think that way?
You're right. His whole thing is, his horizon is very short term. It's what's going to make me money today, what's going to increase my popularity today. I think a good leader, a good parent, a good country looks beyond the immediate consequences and looks at long-term consequences. Oil is a finite resource. Eventually we're going to run out of oil. Same thing with coal to some extent. But the sun is going to be around for, another billion years or so. I don't think we have to worry about the sun running out of energy for a bit. So let's look at what's going to be helpful for the next generation. It's what's going to help my grandkids have a better life. And if you ask that question, then it comes down in favor of clean energy sources. And that's what I'd like to see our country pursue.
Problem with look, I agree on clean energy. I agree 100%. The problem is when you present it that way, politically you get hurt because the other side, they hear it's like woke, okay, clean energy. That's why I'm presenting it in a different way, which is really humanizing it. Black lung disease is going up.
Yeah.
Okay? When you show people that, what do they say?
Yeah.
Okay? And these are Trump supporters. Black lung disease is going up. Doesn't that talk differently, Joe? I just think that gets it home. We can talk clean energy, this and this and this.
Yeah, you're right.
Let me show you. Let me show you this guy's lungs. Why are we doing this? That's the problem there.
You're right.
Now let me throw this out to you. We're just hitting a couple things. I just like this at the end, hitting a lot of stuff. Not the end, as we're rocking. A friend of mine's business had ice pull up.
Oh my goodness.
He wouldn't let it. He wouldn't let him in. He wouldn't let him in. I'm not going to tell you where it was, but I'm proud of him for doing it. But it's a private business, and they just pulled on up and figured they're going to check things out.
Oh, jeez. What happened?
They left because they were looking for a summons. Let me see something from the court.
So you can do that and they'll leave?
They can't come onto private property. What they can do is they can sit outside on a public road and wait for whomever they're looking for. But I don't think they were looking for anybody. You know what I'm saying? Because they left. I think what they're doing is they're just hitting businesses where they think there are people that would be immigrants. And just hit like they've been doing at farms and hotels and restaurants. You know what I'm saying? Where people always had a lot of immigrants and stuff. And they're just looking where it is. You saw what happened at the LA Dodgers, right? When they came in and tried to park on the LA Dodgers parking lot, and it was CPB, whatever it is, which is another branch of the Homeland Security. Homeland Security said, oh, it's not ICE. And LA Dodgers wouldn't let them on. And they said you get it because they wanted to process the people that they had picked up on the LA Dodgers parking lot.
Yeah, I'd be curious, people in the chat, do you think it's reasonable for us to go to Home Depot, to go to hotels, to go to farms and arrest people who are undocumented immigrants? Is that what people think is reasonable?
Yeah, Paul, let me get, wait, so I want to get the mic. Mike's dealing with it. But Mike, these respiratory, you're wrong, Paul, Mike. Look up the journal. I think it was the Wall Street Journal or it was somewhere, Google it. There was a big article about how black lung disease is coming back. I wouldn't give you BS. Please Google it and look at it. It's very interesting. I was surprised. I understood it as you did. Quit cussing, will you, Mike? I understood it as you did. Then I read it and I saw it. Open your mind. Google it, look it up and see. You're going to see it, Mike. I'm sorry. That's what's going on. You shouldn't have any of it, and we got it. Where were we, Joe? I jumped in on Mike there, and I was thinking about something. What was the other issue?
The whole thing with immigration now, is this what our country is? That we go after undocumented immigrants by picking them up at the Home Depot, by going to Dodger Stadium?
Well,
is that what this country's all about? I think we're 100% on board with people who break the law, going after them aggressively, but are we into breaking up families? Are we into hurting certain industries? Is that what this country is about? What do we gain from that? That's the question.
That's all.
And I ask that as a question for the people in chat. I mean, is that what you want to see in this country?
Well, they're trying, Joe, and not the chat. That's what the government wants, but it's even worse than that. I mean, things actually calmed down in LA. I didn't think LA was that bad. They had riots in that small area, but they had it. They calmed it down. There were no more. And then Trump announces he's sending 2,000 more troops. You can't tell me it wasn't to get people pissed off. They're just looking for a confrontation. So it doesn't matter. It's my problem with this administration. It doesn't matter who it is. They want to have a confrontation with somebody. So they're going to have it with Iran. And that, well, I understand what happened there, but they're going to have it there. They're going to have it here. But the whole idea of having it here in America, because you just want to take Americans apart and you just want to decide you are going to run their cities and you are going to run their states because you don't like how that is. If people don't like the state they're in, they can move. If you don't want to live in New York, move to Alabama. A lot of people move to Florida. It's cheaper in those places. I don't know about Florida anymore, but a lot of these other places, they can go. But you don't need troops for it. And then what you're doing is, it's even more than breaking up families and stuff, Joe. These people are giving money. These people put money into tax withholdings. These people put money into Social Security, and they didn't get any Social Security benefits, and they didn't get any real tax benefits, and they couldn't have a bank account. So that money we're not going to be getting. And as you do this, you're just hitting the economy more and more. And the economy, which you really need to start rocking, ain't going to be rocking. It just doesn't happen. And we're at max employment because you don't have immigrants coming in looking for jobs. So that's it. But wait till you get, listen to this. At the farmer we went to the other day, one of the local farmers, 2 tomatoes. Do you buy that stuff, Joe? Do you know what this stuff costs? How much do you think we pay? Oh, you don't? Okay. $5 for 2 tomatoes.
That sounds high.
Outrageous. You see, I see these numbers. You say, this isn't a matter of just getting ripped off by some ripoff. These are the farmers. $5 for 2 tomatoes. Inflation is here. And when you're seeing all this go on and the gas has just jumped in the last couple of weeks, and it's going to stay up there for a while because these guys ain't giving their profits back so fast. So it's jumped from like a $2.95 to like $3.15 now. Man, those guys can make big money. They're going to keep their profits. I don't blame them, really. That's capitalism is, though you shouldn't rip people off. But that's what's going on there. Let me see. What are people saying? Go to Mexico City. They won't get. What does Mexico City have to do with this? I'm sorry. Their privileged lives where they have servants who do everything for them. Mr. R, I'm not sure who you're talking to. Do Americans get free health care in Mexico? I don't know, and I don't care. I live in America. It's not my problem. Who voted Trump? He only cares about Trump, so I voted Biden and Kamala. I'm with you. Well, Spartacus, I love you. 3D, who's crying? You see, there's 3D. That's the argument. 3D, that's why I'm saying you don't agree with Dr. V on this. I think what Dr. V makes sense about splitting up the families, but I'm looking at it as in a dollars and cents thing. We were losing all their tax withholdings, and there was a lot of it. I'm sure whatever it is, it adds in. Social Security, they're now saying it's a year earlier that's going to go under. So you're losing all this money going in, and this new tax bill is going to be like crazy, raise the deficit like you've never seen, and we're going to be borrowing more, so the dollar goes down in value, and interest rates keep about where they are. 200,000 homes in inventory. You can't sell them, Joe. Everybody was always complaining, where are the houses? They blamed those boomers. You know those old boomers? I don't know any old boomers. Do you, Joe? They were blaming all the old boomers, saying they don't sell their houses. They have great interest rates. They don't want to sell their houses. Okay. 200,000 inventory waiting, and nobody can buy because it's too expensive, and because, the interest rates just are not going to go down that much. And think how much it costs to fix the house. You buy the house. You need something in the kitchen. You need this. You need that. You need a medicine cabinet. They went up back in December. So we've got all that going on. So that's where we are. I'm just saying inflation is here, guys. The economy is going down. We are in not a good way economically. Excuse me. And wait until something big hits. And remember this. Don't get a credit card and put your house on it. Please don't. That's my big thing of the day. You see the ads, put your home equity on this credit card. Don't do it. It's legal, but what are you going to do? You go to Hilton, they give you Hilton points. You go under, they take your house. Well, at least you got points. You can stay at the Hilton for a night, right? So that's the problem. You get a Visa card, yeah, you're paying 25% or more, Visa, MasterCard, whatever, but they can't take your house from you just like, it's not that easy. Foreclosure rules are really tight, but they have to get a judgment and then move to get your house. A whole lot harder. But when you put your house up, your house is your home. And as this market gets tougher out there, and as this economy gets worse, and I'm telling you it's going to get worse, I've been telling you, you're starting to see it, believe it, this hitting people out in the other countries, we're going to have real issues here. Get ready. Don't put your equity in your house onto a credit card. You want to get a home equity loan? Look, I'm not a financial advisor. Get one and keep it there for emergencies. Don't use your home equity for hotels and for fun. Just please don't do it, because Joe will not be able to bail you out at that point. He'd love to because he wants to help everybody. But he won't be able to help you then when that foreclosure starts.
No. No.
You don't think so, Joe? Joe.
Can't bail out everybody. That's for
He
sure.
can't bail out everybody. He can help you mentally, but he can't bail out everybody. So let's just kind of wind this baby up here on what we've looked at. Joe and I disagree on the action that we took in Iran. At the same time, though, we like nobody else, like everybody else. We have really just kind of little idea what's going to happen thereafter. So we threw some predictions out, thoughts and ideas. I think things could work out better. Joe ain't so sure. He gave the Iranian victimology argument along with the alarm clock in his so-called rock album, and which is good. He put it up there. I took the other side, and we still came out as great buddies, great friends, and that's what we say to you all. We love your comments. We love that you watch us. We love what you tell us. I don't care what you say. We just love you. And that's the whole idea of America. And that's what's great about America. I love America. I always love saying it, okay? It's not a matter of patriotism. It's a matter of feeling it. It's there where you can talk about it and taste it, love it, know you got friends, know you got family, and know you can do things others can't in this world because we have such a great country. And that's why we have to talk about what we have to do to keep our country, make it better, not let it become a de-evolution in Devo, and move forward with it. What do you say, Joe? What else? Anything else with that?
No, if you want to solve problems, it's important to understand everyone's perspective. And it's just a smart strategy. People are going to break out into, a song about, reach out and touch everyone and all that. But it's just a smart strategy. That if you want to solve problems, you have to understand where the other side is coming from, and that's going to help you reach a solution. I know it feels good when you can put down your enemy. I know it feels good when you can punch someone that makes you angry, but it's not going to be helpful in the long run, and that's all I'm saying.
Okay, and Joe makes a great point, but I got to tell you this. I don't like punching enemies. I never get into physical fights. I'd rather hug my friends. I look at it differently. I am a reach out and touch person. Joe will tell you. I see you. I put you in a bear hug because I love you. Hey, I'm a believer in all that. That's what we have to come together for. Punching is no fun. Giving somebody a black eye is no fun. Feeling like a big tough guy ain't no fun. Knowing you got friends and you can see your friends and you give them a hug, and it doesn't matter what they believe. I mean, generally, they're within the basic parameters. You're not talking some super loon, crazy, extremist, racist, whatever. Very small minority in this country, luckily. But you have it, and we pull it together. That's what we do. That's what makes us great. That's what's going to make it happen. And listen to the Stones. Get your yayas out. Your yayas, get them out and listen to them. Mick Taylor on lead guitar. All I can say is, I keep forgetting what I want to say about it. If it ain't straight, we ain't there. I keep forgetting whatever it is. That's out of some song. How about if we do it like this? Psychedelic Shack, that's where it's at. Psychedelic Shack, that's how we end it. That's where it's at. I love the song. Tempted Temptations. Great song, took it to the next level. Psychedelia was happening. They just came out rocking. Great music. Oh, I love the Temptations. They just spanned everything. The Supremes spanned all that music. I may be bringing up Supremes and Temptation music on Wednesday, Joe. I'm starting to think about it. Either way, if it's square, we ain't there.
Nope.
And that's the way it is.
Period.
And we'll see you Wednesday. Remember, be friendly. Talk to your friends. We're with you. See you then. Bye-bye.